Starr and a few other council members will have to start campaigning again soon. And here to tell us about it is Mike Kannin, publisher of the Austin Monitor. Half the city council members will have 2-year terms. The other half now have 4-year terms. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks so much for having me by.
Talk about how this affects half the council members compared to the other half.
Sure. Greg, as you saw, won his recount, but he's going to have to run again in 2 years, as is Sherry Gallo in District 8, as is Don Zimmerman in District 6, and as is Delia Garza in District 2. An interesting thing about the next election is that it's going to happen during a presidential election.
Yeah.
So in 2 years, we're going to have a whole bunch of other huge candidates on the ballot. And that could change the way that turnout happens.
Interesting, yeah, because just bigger turnout, bigger numbers.
Bigger numbers. Yeah, and I apologize for my electronic cheat sheet here, but I just want to make sure I got it right. So in the last presidential election in the city of Austin, 2012, 90,000 more voted in that election than they did or took part in the city of Austin's elections than they did in this election. So that was relatively an enormous turnout for the city. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the presidential numbers, even more voted. There's about 180,000 more voted in that presidential election. Mm-hmm. Trick for council members will be getting to more of those voters.
How about mentality-wise? You know, you look at those that are serving 4-year terms, those that are serving 2-year terms. 2 years can fly by. Yeah. How might that affect policy decisions before they start thinking about re-election?
Sure, it's a great question. And what we saw this last year, I think if you talk to some of the city and council members who did not run, they started to see folks running for office from the dais. And I think that timeline is going to advance for those council members that are up there now. It'll be interesting to see how quickly they feel that they have to be out there back on the campaign trail. But I think it's going to be a really quick turnaround for those folks. Politically, that means that they're going to be thinking maybe more along the lines of something that's going to get them reelected, and maybe thinking more about who their opponent's going to be and how they have to appeal to the folks that are out there who are going to take part in the vote.
And one other note, Kathy Tovo from District 9, she's the only incumbent on this new city council. She was elected the mayor pro tem. Any surprise there?
No, not really. I think it was interesting to see, just for those who are watching the council, Councilmember Zimmerman's vote against her services as mayor pro tem. Not exactly a harmonious beginning to things for him, although everybody else was sort of in line with that.
Mike Kannin with the Austin Monitor talking about the new Austin City Council taking shape yesterday. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. The special meeting for orientation for the new Austin City Council will happen Thursday. Their first regular meeting for the City Council will be January 29th.